the 6 poorest countries in the world. We are a very wealthy country, but with a poor people. We don't seem to have managed our resources properly, and we've regressed from where we were. We were number 3 in Africa as one of the wealthiest countries in Africa. We're number 3. Today, the biggest economy is South Africa, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco. These are very big economies. And we, like I said, we are right at the bottom. What have we done wrong? What did Singapore, China, South Korea, and others do well that we failed to? How did we drop from one of the wealthiest countries to now the top 6 poorest countries? And again, we are number 6 as the most unequal, among the most unequal countries in the world, being led by South Africa and others. Clearly, this is a grim picture. You must have studied this. What do you think? Our theme today is development proposals for Zambia. What should be our development proposals? Learning from the past, learning from the mistakes that were made, and then charting our path forward.
Yeah. So problem number 1, and I'll be very quick, Mwamba. The first thing we haven't gotten right for many years is that we've never believed in ourselves, and I'll start from that perspective. We've never believed that we could play a bigger role in our own economy. Okay, so Kansanshi Mine 2 or 3 weeks ago, they launched what they are calling the S3 expansion project. They are saying they've extended the life of Kansanshi Mine. Lumwana Mine has announced, I don't know if it's $1 billion super pit project. I was in Solwezi before traveling to America. I spent 3-4 days in Northwestern Province trying to understand what's happening in Northwestern Province. And then I'm looking at the question you are asking, and I'm looking at these huge projects that are being announced. But at the end of the day, there's one problem which we've not done correctly. We've never believed in ourselves. We have been at the tail end, okay? When an investor comes, they invest the right amount of billions of dollars into the mining sector, which they make as pledges. We'll need to have a topic for another day on whether the actual 1 billion will come into Zambia. But the first problem which I've identified after reading, after studying, after talking to mining experts, because mining is our key sector, okay? That is what will anchor every other sector. So the first thing that we've not done correctly is that we've assumed that the mines should only create jobs for graduates from university, those coming out of NOTEC, those that want general work. That is the first problem we've had. We've not placed Zambians at the center of key sectors like mining. And there are others who have different views. Others believe that so long we are getting the copper out, we are getting taxes out, that is enough. So first problem is that currently in Zambia, or in terms of ownership of the mining companies, we don't have a huge stake by citizens. The level of participation by citizens has been very low. And I'll give an example. If you are going to have $1 billion being put into Kansanshi, which is the S3 project, the question I've asked myself, and I'm asking government, and I'm sure those that will call in today, they'll still have to deal with this question. The question is, how much of that $1 billion actually, if it has to be spent as expenditure, how much of that $1 billion will be retained in Zambia in terms of contracting jobs, okay? The people to set up the refinery, the people to set up the smelter, the experts that are supposed to ensure that the laboratory works correctly. So first problem, Mwamba, is that our participation as citizens has been inadequate. Of participation, if I were to send that for Zambians, and this is why for me my first proposal in the mining sector is that as we issue mining licenses, because to do exploration is expensive. We all know that diamond drilling is expensive. Everyone has argued that it's not easy to dig to know how much copper you have for 10 years only to then realize you don't have the copper. So exploration is expensive. So my first proposal is that the Zambian government, private sector, where Zambians are involved, should also take the lead in exploration, because exploration data, Mwamba, how much copper you have, you can't then do the mining. So exploration data should be owned by Zambians, the mining licenses should be owned by Zambians, and then using these two pieces of information, and this is one of the things that I'll be discussing with Zambians living in Arizona, is that why haven't we structured financial models that allow Zambians to participate in the sector? And I'm on record as Christopher Kangombe. I debated the Minerals Regulation Bill. I regulated the Geological Bill. I'm on record asking government that can we prescribe how much of the $1 billion that will go into expenditure in the mines will be for Zambians, Zambian engineers, Zambian companies. That, and I'm not discouraging FDI. I'm simply saying from a local content point of view, we've not gotten it right. That is the first problem. Second problem, Mwamba, we've not gotten the agriculture sector correctly, okay? We've assumed that if we produce 3.6 million tons of maize, we have done very well. Mwamba, our farmers are giving us 2 tons of maize per hectare. That is low yield, okay? We are celebrating 3.6 million, but how much is each farmer giving us on average? They are giving us 2 tons of maize per hectare. We must be discussing 4, 5, 6 tons per hectare. So I have a motion in Parliament which I've proposed. My motion is that we need to raise the capacity of our farmers to produce more per hectare of farming. How are we going to do it? This is now another conversation we should start having. What is the role of these farm blocks? There are these farm blocks that were started during the time for the Patriotic Front. During Kaunda time, we had farm blocks that were later abandoned. Now UPND is in power. They shouldn't make the same mistake that was made in the past. So agriculture sector, Mwamba, my proposal would be, can we farm for local consumption? And can we also farm for export? Because we need the dollars to come in. We need our kwacha to be strong, and we can only do that if we have the right exchange rate. So agriculture sector, my proposal as Christopher Kangombe would be, yes, we have people that need to be supported at a smaller scale. The guys under FISIP. But we also need to start asking ourselves, how much maize should we produce? How much of the other cash crops should we produce for export so that we are able to balance between food security and the money that has to be raised from the export market? I want to be on record, Mwamba. I'm one person who believes that agriculture can create not only jobs locally, but also can create the right income generation for Zambia through exports. So we need to do the right balance, and I think we need a conversation around how do we do it. Thirdly, Mwamba, empowerment funds. We've not gotten the empowerment funds correctly. Mwamba, having been a councillor, mayor, MP, I'll tell you one thing, why we don't get Zambians empowered. We have too many political players involved in the identification of beneficiaries. Okay, right now we have CDF empowerment funds. Loans, they've been giving out loans. And the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Sialovalo, has been complaining that people are not paying back. Do you know, Mwamba, why people are not paying back? It's because CDF empowerment funds, just like many other empowerment funds for many years, there has been too many political players participating. The Ward Development Committee will identify the beneficiaries. They bring the list to the CDF committee where the councillors, MPs are also involved. They are the ones approving the list, and then you take them to the minister puts a signature, and then when giving out the actual empowerment loans, you have a minister traveling from Lusaka, coming to Kitwe, coming to Ndola to be the one issuing empowerment loans. Mwamba, people can't pay. So my proposal to Parliament, which will be a motion, I don't know if my fellow will support me, but my proposal is that we need to exclude political players from empowerment funds. These are just some of the 3-4 issues we haven't gotten right, because for me, where we haven't gotten it right is that Zambian citizens have adequately participated in our key sectors. If we participate in our key sectors to the extent that we are making enough money and the money is being returned, Mwamba, I think we'll begin then raising the right millionaires, and then we'll see the wealth that we desire to see.
Oh, wonderful. I share with you your concerns. Agriculture should be our main engine, we've set aside up to 10 million hectares of land in these farming blocks. Each farming block from each province has set aside, I think, is it 100,000 hectares? So 1 million hectares across the country, just set out for agriculture, but they're not supported. There's no infrastructure, no electricity, no roads, even feeder roads. So we have to make a huge investment. I'm also very surprised that year in, year out, each government plans for farmers of about 1 million, plans to feed 20 million Zambians. Yet we are surrounded by 400 million people around us. And we know countries like Angola, we know countries like the DRC, we know countries like Botswana do not necessarily, spend a lot of time on farming. Angola and DRC, the challenges of war,
which is an opportunity for Zambia, actually,
and challenges of culture. Botswana, it's a desert. Half of it is a desert. Why do we plan for 20 million people instead of planning to farm for the 400 million around us? Then we get surprised when there's smuggling. But anyway, I'll be taking a brief break. And when we come back, you're very passionate about mining, the gold subsector
and
that
energy.
I want you to briefly speak to that briefly, and then we
talk about energy
deal with
as well.
Other governance issues. Then I invite our callers. What makes this program are the callers that participate on this program live, uninterrupted, uncensored, and you can call. Just be respectful to our guests and offer your question. But first of all, let's allow this short break, and then I speak to you. Dear viewers, we are hosting Honorable Christopher Kangombe Kamfinsa, Member of Parliament. He's previously mayor for Kitwe. He was a councillor before. He's risen through the ranks. He's an engineer by profession. And he, very, very talented, one of our very young, talented leaders, and is here to participate, is here in the United States to address various gatherings. And I thought you could exploit the opportunity that we speak to him about the vision of our country. Just tell us about this gold subsector and what your thoughts have been.
I'm on record. Mwamba, Parliament, one thing I like about Parliament today and politics today is that people are able to tell who's been active in Parliament on what topics. We are given opportunities to debate in Parliament. So some of us have been very aggressive in Parliament to raise issues. So one of the issues I've been raising consistently, Mwamba, has been about how should we structure our gold subsector? How should we structure our special minerals subsector? And I'm calling it special minerals because we have gold, we have lithium. Mwamba, you can't do any solar system without a lithium battery because lithium is what you put in the battery to store your energy. So I've been very consistent and I've been very firm, and I have no apology to make that we haven't gotten it right in terms of what is the role of Zambians in these precious minerals, the emeralds in the rural part of Undola, the Lufwanyama, where there are these nice special minerals. So my message, my view has been, we have minerals that require foreign direct investment, okay? The huge billions of dollars that maybe raising within the shortest possible time may be a challenge, okay? But we also have these minerals that are easy to mine, okay? And local people in Impika, local people in Nangoma constituency in Central Province, local people in Zambezi, local people in Mufumbwe have demonstrated that with minimum level of education, with basic tools, we can actually get citizens to participate. So my proposal in the gold subsector, in the special mineral subsector, has been that these minerals such as gold require an aggregator. Okay, you need a Zambian company that prepares people to do mining of gold. They are given the training, they are given the tools, they are also given the resources to do the mining correctly. They dig out the gold and then they take the gold to the aggregator. So the aggregator is the Zambia Gold Company. So the Zambia Gold Company is what was established, I think 2019 or 2020, to be an aggregator to buy the gold. Okay, agree on the price, look at the international price for gold, and then agree that this price is fair for the local people, and then get the gold into Bank of Zambia. So my proposal as Christopher Kangombe has been, can we get gold to be mined by Zambians only? And I have no apology to make, Mwamba. I will not apologize. Others have told me, Christopher, that sounds too extreme. Yes, it sounds too extreme, but it sounds correctly at the same time. Why is it correct? It is correct because we can raise $1 billion, we can raise $2 billion, we can even go up to $5 billion if we get the gold sector right. How much gold do we have at the moment, Mwamba, in our reserves? We only have, I think, $300 million of gold. That is embarrassing. That is unacceptable. And I'm not apportioning any blame. I'm basically reminding each one of us that is in leadership. I'm reminding the current government. I'm reminding my colleagues in parliament that if we get the gold sector correctly, just gold alone, we can get to a $5 billion of our required gold reserves. And then Zambia can be able to say, these are our reserves. Can we now get the benefits from having the right reserves? So that has been my proposal. My proposal has been, let's not look for a foreign investor to set up gold mines. Let us allow Zambian citizens working with the Zambian government to ensure that we get it right in the gold subsector. I've also talked about lithium in Southern Province. Mwamba, Southern Province should not be known for only farming. We should not know Southern Province to be an area where you do agriculture. We should also remind ourselves that Mamba Core, which gives us 300 megawatts, is in Southern Province. So Southern Province must be known also for mining. How can we know it for mining? There's lithium in Southern Province in a constituency called Mapatizia. My proposal is that we need to copy what Bolivia has done. Bolivia has got a large-scale lithium mine in Bolivia. Can we do a large-scale lithium mine in Mapatizia, Southern Province? The same farmers who have money in Southern Province can be told to invest in lithium mining. And this is one of the issues that has brought me to America today. I want to speak to Zambians who are in America, asking them, you people have the right level of exposure. You've learned financial modeling. You've learned financial systems. Can you tell us how we can structure our financial models so that we can participate in key sectors? So for me, Mwamba, is that gold should be for Zambians, and I have no apology to make.
You are right. You don't have to apologize for it.
Yes.
Ghana did the same. The new president came in and decreed that no foreign nationals should be in the gold subsector at mining level, artisanal level, and then it apportioned the entire marketing of gold to one like some form of a vehicle, like similar to ZCCMIH. And within 2 quarters, they had earned $5 billion. Again, you have a point. You have a point because if you look at the FIC report, out of the $3.5 billion being, illicit financial flows being taken away from our country, over $1.5 billion has now been attributed to illegal export of gold. Who is exporting this gold? Last year recorded $1.5 billion. The unrecorded number might even be higher. Clearly,
that is the income we've
missing
lost,
opportunity to derive benefits from this subsector. Do you have any other thoughts about sectors that really you think should drive our
Energy.
country before I
Yeah.
open the phone lines?
Before you bring in our valued participants, the callers that are calling in, Bamwamba, we have a problem in the energy sector. Okay, now energy has got two parts. There's electricity, and there's petroleum products. Okay, so I'll start with electricity. There's been a lot of noise, and I'm calling it noise or publicity, or everyone wants to start talking about solar. At a household level, Bamwamba, you can connect a solar system, buy 2 batteries, put your solar panels, you run your electricity into your home, that is fine. But at a large scale, okay, the 100 megawatts in Chisamba, another person, an independent power producer, will also be told, can you go and set up a solar plant? Bamwamba, there's a limit as to how much solar we can integrate into our national grid. And I'm speaking as an electrical engineer. Currently, our national grid has a specific capacity of how much maximum solar we can get in. So no matter how much noise, how much publicity we talk about in terms of solar, there's a limit. We can't just be producing solar. We need what is called baseload power. Now, what is baseload power? Baseload power is hydro. Baseload power is what is produced at Mamba. Baseload power is what allows you now to do the mix. Okay, for you to say, let's bring in solar into the grid, they must already be stable power. Kabili solar ilapona. Today in the morning, there's enough sunlight. You have very good electricity coming out of your solar panels. As the day goes down, you don't get the same output from your solar. So you need the national grid to be stable, okay? And that is where baseload power comes in. And this is why, for me, as much as I want to be an advocate for solar, I think that at household level, solar is a solution that each person can then look at in terms of, can I invest in solar to spend less on electricity at an individual level? But to industrialize Bamwamba, to produce the goods and services that Zambia needs at a large scale, for cement plants to run. That is why Dangote doesn't run on Zesco power. Dangote produces their own electricity. They get their coal from Mamba, run their machines at Ndola plant and produce electricity, because that is baseload power. It's stable power. It is what you need to run industry. So what do we need to do in the electricity subsector, Bamwamba? I've got 3 proposals that I wish to make, which are very key, and I think that some people may not have paid much attention. The open access guidelines, you know, the open access guidelines, which allows private players to come into the sector, they've not been published. Up to now, we don't have the open access guidelines. Government has said open access is now a policy, but there are no guidelines that have been published, and I want to ask government to quickly publish these open access guidelines so that Konsokoko Tulesa here in America, the Zambians that are in America, we tell them where the opportunities are. Secondly, we need to reserve sites for hydro for Zesco. Okay, and I'm saying we need to reserve sites because if a feasibility has been done by the Ministry of Energy, they know where the hydro plants are, where the hydro stations should be put. What we should be doing is not to privatize those sites. We should simply be saying, okay, can this private company that may have the dollars, the monies to invest into a hydro plant, partner with Zesco? Because we need energy security. We don't want that private company to sell its electricity without satisfying the local market. So we need to model some form of partnership between private sector and the public sector in terms of the new sites that are supposed to give us power. The Luapula River has got 5 sites, Bamwamba. 3 are on the Zambian side, 2 are on the Congolese side. Okay, we need to close those conversations to quickly get 2-3 sites running. The Luapula River can give us 1,000 megawatts. It will be enough to reduce the problem that we have. Thirdly, I want us to appeal also to government to look at transparent bidding for these hydropower stations, okay? And I'm saying transparency. We don't want to see IPPs, independent power producers, being brought on board without us seeing the right level of transparency. That would be my proposal. And that is the electricity subsector. In short, my summary on electricity is that let's not just tell people set up solar plants. Let's first have the right level of stable power for us to kick in the solar plants that we are encouraging people to do. And I'm calling upon Zambians that have got the financial modeling skills. Tell us how we can structure a financial model for Zambians to participate in the electricity subsector. Lastly, Mwamba, the fuel subsector. Zambia no longer buys fuel. The Zambian government has no budget line for fuel. If you go to the national budget, there is no expenditure for fuel to buy fuel. So my proposal in the in the petroleum subsector is that yes, we need a refinery to run, okay? And I'm asking myself, government hasn't explained. They've announced that there's a Chinese investor, Mwamba, that will be setting up a refinery in Ndola, okay? So there'll be a refinery that will be refining crude oil in Ndola to be run by our all-weather friend, the people from China. I have no problem, but I have one concern. Why can't we recapitalize Indeni? Because that is the proposal I took to Parliament. And again, Christopher Kangombe is on record. I simply asked the Minister of Energy, how much do we need to recapitalize Indeni? I was told we need $250 million, close to $300 million. So I'm asking myself, wasn't it going to be better to sit down with a Chinese investor to remodel Indeni around joint ownership, where we still bring in the crude oil because the infrastructure is already there. We repair the old pieces of equipment that need to be repaired in form of a partnership so that we can get the right efficiency into Indeni, and then it serves its intended purpose. So government may have their own reasons, and I'm sure they'll have to give a policy statement in Parliament as to why they've allowed a new refinery to be set up as opposed to partnering with an existing infrastructure. We have the issue of the Tazama pipeline lastly, Mwamba, before we bring in the callers. Tazama is 1,700 kilometers from Dar es Salaam into Ndola. You can't rely on that single pipe to deal with fuel concerns in Zambia. We need an extra pipe. We need to have a holistic review of the petroleum subsector. I think certain things will be clarified as callers begin calling in. But my proposal is that we need a certain level of transparency in the energy sector for us to be certain that we do the sector correctly.
Oh, wonderful. The subsector, clearly the fuel subsector in the energy sector is a critical matter. For the electricity sector, we've prided ourselves that we should be an export hub, looking at the resources we have from sun, water, wind. We should be an export hub. But
we have coal, fuel, we have everything, Mwamba.
Yeah. For fuel, especially that we're a landlocked country, they say land-linked. You only become land-linked when you resolve all the issues, the connectivity by air, by road, and if all your borders are clear, then you become land-linked. The trouble is that you cannot gamble with fuel security. Fuel security becomes national security, and we seem to have been gambling a lot. The investment that was done by His Excellency the President Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda on the pipeline and the refinery, I think was a very good start, which subsequent governments have failed to build on. And I'm glad that you are actively thinking about that. Let's take a small break, and we invite you, the callers. The line is open. I check the lines, and then we are hosting Honorable Christopher Kangombe. Ask him any question. Just a minute. Hey, please hold on. Just hold on. Don't hang up. Sir, just hold on. Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you. We already have callers. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling from.
Thank you, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. I really enjoy EMV. I think you're doing a fantastic job. And yeah, my name is Dr. Dave Kajila. I'm based here in Canada. I'm a medical specialist. I have for Honorable Kangombe is that since I'm hearing some feedback. Let me try to come out of this. Sorry. Yeah. Since his proposals are so brilliant, and I think it's very difficult to argue with any of the points he's raised. Since they're so brilliant, is there a bipartisan approach in Parliament where you, as an opposition leader, can partner with another member of Parliament who belongs to the ruling party, and together you form a coalition and present these proposals and see if they will get traction? That's the first question. The second question is, I can see definitely you have a pedigree of leadership at your young age, and you are a very bright spot in Zambian politics. Do you have any plans to contest for the big one, the big seat of presidency? Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba, for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to listening to the program.
Thank you very much. Honorable Christopher Kangombe, this is one of our senior members in the diaspora. Dr. David Kajila is well respected, practicing in Canada in cardiology and internal medicine. Thank you, Dr. Kajila, for that question. We have another caller. Yeah, thank you very much. We have another caller here. Caller, please tell us, just a minute. Caller, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba. My name is Kefas Mwape Musonda, calling you from Kabwe, Central Province. Honorable Kangombe, Akangombe, how are you?
He can hear you, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Honorable Kangombe, I also want to, first of all, ask the same question that the previous caller has asked. We've seen you being a councillor, we've seen you mayor, we've seen you member of parliament now. 2026, before God and before man, tell us your next step. Coming to the issue of agriculture, well articulated, agriculture might and should be the mainstay of any economy like Zambia. But, Honorable Kangombe, what is it that you will do before Parliament is finally dissolved pertaining to the FRA? The FRA, the Minister of Agriculture, promised the people of Zambia that whenever you deliver your maize to the FRA depot and is certified to be correct, within 48 hours, people are supposed to get their pay. Up to today, others is 2 months. How effective can you put up a law that will develop the agriculture sector for the Zambian people? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Callers, please be brief. There are so many calls coming in. We want you to be brief. Ask your question or your contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Mwamba. Good evening. Honorable Kangombe, I know is listening. Mwamba, before I even start talking, you have this topic is so interesting. I wish you could go on and explaining. My proposal is that I think in the Zambian constitution, I think according to what Honorable Kangombe has explained, I think we need to introduce a clause where we say a person who should stand for president should at least be a councillor who has been a councillor, a mayor, and member of parliament. What Comrade Kangombe is explaining, he's explaining as if he's a president already. Okay, I'm anointing him now. is fit to stand for 2026 because what he has explained, it makes sense in a simple language, very understandable. Anyone can understand. And I want to agree on him when he said that there is too much polarization, especially when it comes to like local government housing, Lusaka City Council, or any other councils where parties, they have prioritized their members to be getting the loans and so forth. That should be discouraged. I agree with him 100% and let him pursue that because this is what is making Zambia to look like we are not developing because the key point is the local housing.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador, and good evening, Kamfisa Member of Parliament.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. It's just a contribution. My name is Msenga Shamakamba, calling from Lusaka. Yeah, so I've been following through the program, and I think I really agree with the MP to say when we really get to empower our own citizens to actually mine our own minerals, it usually brings about economic independence and wealth retention. And thereby, when citizens are empowered to operate mines, more wealth will be generated from mineral resources, and our resources will remain within the country. And instead of our profits being expatriated to foreign countries or corporations, they circulate locally and boost our national income and reduce over-independence or over-dependence on foreign investors. Thank you.
Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador, and good evening, Honorable Kangombe. My name is Nancy. I'm calling you from the Copper Belt. I enjoy listening to Honorable Kangombe. He's got very good and progressive ideas. I just wanted to contribute on the aspect of the energy sector. I think a lot of suggestions are put forward on how we can diversify that sector. But I feel that there's another alternative power source that we are not paying so much attention to, which is the nuclear power. We have the natural resources. We have uranium in Zambia, and nuclear power would give us so much power that even if we want to make money from exporting power like is happening now, they will be able to comfortably do it and also ensure we have 100% connectivity to power for the Zambian citizens all across the country. I think it's something that we need to discuss further and look into because we cannot expect to have rapid development without power, and we cannot expect to have that using things like the hydro, which is prone to issues when there's drought, solar, it cannot give us that kind of energy. But we should look towards that. Nuclear and also coal. Those are natural resources we have, which I think we are not doing enough in looking at how we can manage it. We can learn, we can develop, we can partner with those who are using it and are doing so very well. We can also learn. And secondly, on the agricultural sector, you being an MP, I would ask that when you go back to Parliament, maize has been exported in Zambia so much, but are they telling us just how much money they've made from the exports and where it has been used in the economy so that we can appreciate as citizens, just like the money raised from power exports. Thank you very much.
Sorry, my dear sister is choking there, but she has a powerful point. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, good evening, Your Excellency, and a very good friend and a colleague, Honorable Kangombe. This evening, mine is simple. I've got only one thing that we should observe as Zambians as far as leadership is concerned. There is one thing that we Zambians, we've never observed. There is this group of patriotic front. It is full of energetic leaders, visionary leaders, who are trained by Michael Sata, enriched by Edgar Chagwalungu. But we have another side of a political party that is infiltrated with full of overcoming the other based on what? Inferiority complex. Such kind of leadership that is trying to to compare itself to this kind of leadership where they even feel like if they are going to chase away Emmanuel Mwamba from Zambia, take Malanji to prison, Bowman to jail, Chimbakamburi, thinking that they are going to kill leadership in the patriotic front. I'm telling you, this man is just doesn't understand what he's trying to do. He is just trying to swallow himself. I'm telling you, patriotic front has got pure leadership. Look at this young man I've grown up with in Kitwe. He's a very vibrant leader, far away from this other Indian Chilemade failure.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you. Hello, my caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, good afternoon. This is Anonymous.
Anonymous, tell us your name, your contribution.
Thank you, Ambassador. Good afternoon, Honorable Kangombe.
He can hear you.
Yeah, my contribution, there's a contribution and I think a question in there. Honorable Kangombe, thank you so much for the way you have given us these ideas, especially concerning the energy sector. These are some things which a lot of us don't know, obviously not because we are not learned in those issues, because they do require expertise. And the fact that you have explained makes me wonder. You know, we have people coming into, before people come into power, they give us all these ideas, they give us all these solutions, but the moment they get into power, everything changes. Is there something that happens when people have that power such that they just suddenly change and start going the opposite way? Because from the way you have explained these things, we are supposed to look at it in the long run. But the way we are seeing the government doing things right now is as though they are not interested. What they want is just to amass wealth for themselves. Look at how you have explained to say we can even actually export the energy. Just what we have in Zambia, we can export energy to other countries and still be able to have enough for ourselves. But like right now, we do not have anything in Zambia. People are suffering, but the government has prioritized exporting energy. So why can't they work on those solutions the way you have explained? Because those are the things that they need to do.
Thank you,
But
my dear sister.
But now it's like it's clear to say that people just want to earn for themselves and they don't care about the people. So my question is there anything, because I've never been a member of parliament, or I've never been in that position. So what really happens when people get into power? Because we have people talking about giving us all these nice things, solutions to our problems, but the moment they get into power, everything changes. What really goes on? What really goes on? I would like to know that. But thanks, Honorable Kamo.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Emmanuel Mwamba, this is Robin again from the UK.
Yes, Robin, make your contributions from the UK.
Thank you. My call today has actually been prompted by one of the other callers who talked about nuclear. I want to caution listeners that these things might sound exciting and potentially cheaper, potentially offering a solution. But actually, let's look at Fukushima and what happened there not so many years ago. We do not have the expertise and experience in dealing with nuclear waste or nuclear byproducts. So let's just caution ourselves on the things that we propose to do to alleviate the plight of, and I don't take away the plight of Zambians. Now, just to get back to Honorable Kangombe's contributions, I completely agree with him, and he rightly advocates that Zambians should participate in the minerals of the country. And what I'd like is the government to change things like ownership controls. So a certain proportion of a firm dealing in the natural resource of a country should be allocated to local Zambians to participate and benefit from those minerals. Additionally, there should be controls on the revenue flows and profit flows of these organizations, including international organizations that invest in Zambia, such that the money that they earn is retained in commercial banks in Zambia. That can then feed through to liquidity for farming, thereby increase capacity for further development in the country? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kangombe, maybe you can deal with a few of those questions and we go to the other batch of questions.
Start with there's a caller who didn't provide the name, but he was agreeing with me that the participation of politicians in the issuance, identification of beneficiaries for loans leads to people not paying back. And he was basically agreeing with my proposal. There was a Mr. Shamakamba who also talked about wealth retention, that we have few Zambians participating in the mineral value chain. I want to indicate to Shamakamba that there's a framework called Export Tracking Framework, which was announced by government to be able to track what exports we are sending out of the country so that we know how much money we should then be able to tax. The government hasn't implemented this framework despite announcing it, despite being developing regulations. It hasn't been fully implemented. So we expect that if this can be implemented, and these are conversations we are taking to Parliament. I have a long list of motions, long list of proposals in the next 8 months before Parliament is dissolved. One of them will be, why hasn't government implemented the export tracking framework that is able to track what exports are going out and how much money we are making in? Then there's a lady by Nancy from the Copper Belt who was asking about alternative sources of energy. She talked about nuclear, and Robin is asking us to be cautious that we don't have the capacity. So the Russian government in 2018 made a commitment that they will train our Zambian engineers to first of all understand the nuclear subsector, also to understand how to deal with byproducts from the nuclear products, how to deal with nuclear waste. Unfortunately, that MOU which was signed between Zambia and Russia has not been utilized. I don't know the current position of government at the moment because they have not stated their position on nuclear. So Robin and Nancy, nuclear is an alternative, but we have what I may call housekeeping issues we need to do. We have an offer from Russia which we have not taken on board to ensure that we learn. Zambia should remain non-aligned, and I want to be put on record. Zambia should learn from partners that are willing to give us the training. Zambia should learn from America, Russia, China. We should learn from everyone if we have to acquire the skills that are needed to deal with things such as nuclear. Dr. Kajila was asking me a very important question. Christopher Kangombe, you have too many nice proposals, but have you considered moving a motion with a UPND MP so that these ideas are supported in Parliament? Well, my view would be UPND has a whipping system. They have 84 members of Parliament. So before we go into Parliament, they are whipped. They are told what to do, how to debate. So I'll ask one of the UPND MPs to support some of these proposals, but my prediction is that they will not support. They will not want to be on record that they are supporting my proposals in Parliament. But maybe we must find a bipartisan approach. And I agree with you. Even the bills we've been rejecting in Parliament, the cyber bills, the amendments to the Republican Constitution, if there was a bipartisan approach, would then agree as opposition and the ruling party on what should be amended before we even go to Parliament. So, Doc from Canada, I agree with you that we've not exploited fully the bipartisan approach option to ensure that we debate less, we argue less in Parliament, we win more for the people of Zambia. It is something that I think we need to consider. But Kajila asked me, Christopher, what are your plans for next year? I'll be announcing in December whether I'm contesting as president in 2026 or 2031. For now, I'm in a consultative process. Even your feedback, Dr. Kajila, I'll get your number, I'll share my number so that we can discuss. I explain to you my thoughts, but the bottom line is that a position as critical as president can require Zambians to have options. And this is what I've said over and over. President Hakainde will never be president forever. President Kaunda was never president forever. There was Dr. Kaunda, there was Chiluba, there was Mwanawasa, Rupia Banda, Michael Sata, even the current president, at some point he will no longer be president. Zambians will need to start looking at other options for the future. So
Thank you,
I would
Honorable.
want to be an option for the future.
Thank you, Honorable
Bye,
Kangombe. Thank
Mwamba.
you very much. Just hold the
Naphelela
thought.
button.
Just hold the thought.
Okay.
Honorable Kangombe, just hold the thought. Just hold the thought. Let's take some more. I know you're going to answer the others as well. Let's just take the... hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, thank you so much. Varishanu Mwamba nine Chimba ndetumina ku Indiana ne Victor Chimba. Oyo mulina nkoyo mulumendo munandi sana twakula bonse ku Kamfinsa constituency twalete abonse bola.
Nakale alifye na manu efifini. Aini nakale wa Chimba na manu efifini.
But awe tali sana but awe ndese kafe wa mano sana mulumendo. We are so proud
No,
of
he's a
him.
national leader. I was joking.
And mine is to just congratulate him and tell him that all his friends were in support of what he's doing, and we wish him good and God's blessings. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You know, one of your childhood friends based here in Indiana is just called to support you, that whatever decisions will stand by you. That's what friends do. That's what friends do. Yeah, let's just take a few calls, Honorable, so that you then combine all the questions. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, good evening. I'm Michael. I'm calling from Kabwe.
Michael from Kabwe. How's the water situation? I understood that Kabwe, certain sections were affected by a serious level of water pollution.
I'm telling you, it's terrible. It's very terrible. In fact, that's why I wanted to make a contribution.
Okay, make the contribution.
So, yes. So, looking at what Honorable Kangombe is saying, it is very perfect. What he's saying is actually very, very perfect and excellent. But, you know, Upper Vera secret. Sorry, can I use Bemba? Is it okay?
It's okay.
Okay, so Upper Vera secret sana. Muri governance yesu ya Zambia abengita baishiba, and I'm sure even politicians abamba politics they even go to presidents tabeshiba bengi. Do you know that we've not fully gotten our independence as we look at it? Iliabalela that independence was in 1964 kwali kwefyalu bene when the time privatization yashire chitika muri bachiruba, privatization on itself yarishire nama conditions ukufuma ku European Union. That's one thing you should know. So ngamwalolisha bwino yonse ama mines twakwata, or for example Kabwe here, you know there is a mine in Pepiapa and they are busy mining, causing pollution and all those things. Kutiba firo kwimba ko firo borehole from their proceedings. Just a single borehole to give water to people. Look at Kito Kuriba Honorable Bakangombe. The last time I was in Chambuli Kutapot Aminch Takuri, but Chimaini Chingareta Minch is just nearby. Just a few minutes. So the contribution here, privatization, yes, we handed over everything, but they are also supposed to develop our communities. They should be a percentage in Angwakano no Mwibantu.
Thank you very much.
Does it cost a lot?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So there is a pollution that occurred the last few days in Kabwe, and I'd like you to combine it, Honorable Kangombe, with the pollution of Kafue River in February 2025. I think let me just take the last call so that we allow you. Honorable Kangombe is here in the United States, visiting for a few days. His time is limited, but he accorded us and was gracious enough to give us this time. Let me throw back the ball to you, Honorable Kangombe.
Very quickly, Mwamba, before we take in the other callers, there was a caller from Koshava Kefasi, Msonda, who was asking about the failure by FRA to pay farmers after they've supplied the maize. Okay, so 80% of our maize is coming from small-scale farmers. So if Zambia is producing 3.6 million tons of maize, which we also produced in 80% is what, 3 million tons? It's coming from small-scale farmers. The complaint from Bamsonda on behalf of farmers is that Batwala Matabako FRA in the sheds, it's taking over a month for FRA to pay supplied. The problem starts with the budget line. Okay, so if FRA has no budget to buy off enough maize, no matter how much maize is delivered to FRA, they will not pay because there is no budget for FRA. So FRA must start looking at how do they then have not just the budget to procure the maize, because FRA has not been established today. We've had FRA for so many years. Laws have been changed on the functions of FRA. So my proposal, Vamsonda, is that as we look at whether we should allocate more money in the national budget for FRA or we should reform FRA to give it other functions for it to be able to raise money, I would lean more towards providing them with a bit of money, but also FRA is supposed to be a commercially viable entity. Apart from dealing with food security, FRA should be a viable institution. And I'm saying viable because it's possible for FRA to run financially independent away from central government funding if we get FRA well restructured. There was also a caller very quickly by Anonymous. Anonymous raised an important issue. Her point is, Honorable Kangombe, you've talked about mining, you've talked about energy. You sound competent in what you are explaining. And what is the difference between you and others that have suggested solutions, especially on electricity? First of all, without blowing my trumpet, I want to indicate that I was equipped with skills in electrical engineering from the university. I worked in Mopani copper mines, I worked in Luansha copper mines, and I worked in another company called Atlas Copco. So when I say Dangote is producing their own electricity, I'm not making up a story which has been copied from a foreign country. I've been in Tundola, I know the technology which is in Ndola. Dangote buys its coal from Sinazongwe in Tundola, and they produce electricity. It's possible for other mining companies to produce half of the electricity, and the half should be provided by ZESCO. This was my proposal in Parliament. We debated it. Of course, the minister agreed with me. Because of the polarization in Parliament, there were MPs from UPND who did not agree with me. But I think after the minister spoke, they realized that Christopher Kangombe was on firm ground. 50% mining companies should produce their own electricity. 50% ZESCO should be allowed to supply the power into the grid, into the mining companies. So that is the difference, my dear sister, between me and others who may have other solutions. Christopher knows what he's talking about. There was also a caller from, I think it was Robin, who was the last caller. There was a caller from Kabwe who was asking about the issue of returning income from mining into the local community. Okay, so I sat with a young man in Solwezi. I think there's a young man who's been very active in community work. We sat the last week when I was in Solwezi. He was asking me, MP, could there be a way in which you can take a proposal to Parliament to ask that part of the income coming from a respective province or district should be returned into the local community? And it aligns with what the caller from Kawe is saying. Because of the poor quality of water that people are drinking in mine areas, could mining companies do more for the water sector? Could they provide more water to our people as part of their corporate social responsibility? Unfortunately, there is no law on CSR. There is no law which compels any mining company to spend money on water or any particular sector. But it's a conversation that has to go to Parliament again to discuss how government can engage these particular mining companies. I think the last caller was Victor, who was basically wishing me success. This is a childhood friend of mine from Undeke village in Kitwe. I think those were some of the callers.
Yes, let's take some more calls. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. This should be the last set of calls. We allow Honorable Christopher Kangombe to go to other engagements.
Good evening, Engineer. My name is Engineer Simwase, calling you from Zambia. First question I have for you, MP. How can we improve the efficiency of the council? We've continuously seen the council is struggling, and I know you're very strong in terms of your leadership, your experience, as a councillor, as a mayor, how can we just improve that bit of the efficiency of the council? Thank you.
Okay. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba.
Good evening.
Honorable. Yes, I am Mwape.
Mr. Mwape, make your contributions, yes.
Okay, please. I have a quick contribution to make. Honorable, I really appreciate for the wonderful ideas that you are putting across. My main concern as a youth has been basically on why we as a country, keep sending soldiers, ZNS, police, to guard all these new mine discoveries, when actually, according to my mind, I feel the government should actually partner with these people, create, cooperatives where we start, producing our own selves. In other words, I'm trying to say that the solution that we've been looking outside there has actually been lying within ourselves. If the government can prioritize cooperatives and, we look at industrialization, we can develop as a country. Thank you so much. I really look forward to sitting down with Honorable one day. I appreciate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Caller, if you are calling, just call now because we'll be closing the phone lines. Closing the phone lines to allow Honorable Christopher Kangombe attend to other earlier engagements, but it's been gracious. It's been 2 hours with us already. Okay, this one is cut. Honorable Kangombe, maybe you have a feel and an idea of what Zambians are thinking. There was a key question from Dr. Kazila about your participation in the election, and you said you are making decisions by December. What is your feel of the state of the opposition currently, and what do you think we could do better? Yesterday we had an unfortunate incident and also a fortunate incident. A newcomer to the politics, Honorable Dolika Banda, was touted that she will be picked as a presidential candidate by People's Alliance party by Andy Ford Banda, but it was not to be. The conference elected Mr. Andy Ford Banda, re-elected him. He had stood as a presidential candidate in 2016 and 2021. And there's Tonse, there's Uka, and there are political parties and individuals that are not even in either of those. What is your view about the state of our opposition politics and their preparations for 2026? But before I let you in, there's this caller. Maybe you can take the questions together. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. My name is Christine. I have just one simple question for Honorable Kangombe. With the current crisis we've got in the energy sector, what we hear from the government is that when they came into power, they found the PF had already signed contracts of export with other countries. But looking at the state of the energy sector now, looking at how many hours of load shedding we've got now, compared to what we had in the past, what they say does not much. So I just want Honorable Kangombe to confirm with us if really, when the UPND came into power, they found the PF had already signed contracts and they just followed what the PF had already signed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Kangombe, just answer those questions, then I'll come and invite you to close in, but first answer those questions.
I'll start with Simwase from Zambia, Engineer Simwase, who raises a very important question. And this is one of the things I'll be speaking to in New York on Monday, where I'll be speaking about sustainable cities one of the things that he raises, which is very key back home, is the issue of the efficiency of local authorities. Now, we have 116 local authorities in Zambia, 5 cities, 21 municipalities, and the rest are town councils. One of the common problems that has been in existence in most councils for many years is that we have not digitalized platforms to enable people to pay without handling cash. Now, if you go to Kitwe, go to Lusaka, all our parking lots, people have to pay 2 kwacha for parking. So they give a 2 kwacha to a person who's collecting, who we call a cashier, who collects money, and they issue a manual receipt. Problem number 1. So the first problem is that payments are not digitalized. There are very few platforms that allow people to pay without handling cash. If people handled less cash, if our workers in all the local authorities handled less cash for a marriage certificate, for a fire certificate, for a business permit or a health permit, we would then have more revenue entering the councils, and then councils would not then have to depend on central government for grants or for anything to be paid. So the starting point was Simwase. You go to Kitwe, go to Lusaka, the qualified people are there. What we should be asking, and this is something we dealt with when I was president for the Local Government Association of Zambia, we had an annual conference that discussed revenue for local authorities. We had very key recommendations. I think there were 5. Number 1, digitalized platforms, and I'm happy that Chipata has made progress in ensuring that they have digital platforms for people not to handle cash. First thing. Second thing, we need to set targets for activities. Are you aware, Engineer Mwase, that the way ZRA has got targets, you need to raise so much money. You need to hit the target in terms of revenue. We need to start setting targets for other public institutions, not just councils, not just ZESCO, all these other public service providers. They must be targets that are provided. The way I used to be given targets when I used to work for a company called Atlas Copco, I was told every month end you have to bring in so many dollars for the company. You had to work yourself money in. So the same work culture must be adopted. I don't think the problem is this. I think councils do not have the qualified planners, the qualified engineers, the qualified architects, public health experts. We need to start giving targets to particular departments. What is your target in terms of garbage collection? How much garbage should your department collect per week and per month? Those are things that we must set as targets. And people should be promoted or transferred to another local authority based on performance. In other words, performance indicators should guide the efficiency of a local authority. Mwape was asking me about solutions for mining. I think that this is a topic that we've already discussed. The issue that I've raised and why I traveled into America is that I want to speak to the issues of how do we come up with financial models that encourage Zambians to have a stake in mining. What we have right now is the model only talks about FDI, foreign direct investment. Everyone is looking for $1 billion. They'll ask for foreigners to be given the exploration license, to be given the mining license, and then begin doing the commercial mining. My proposal as Christopher Kangombe is that now that we've done the geophysical mapping, we know where our minerals are. We now need to issue exploration licenses. Zambia should participate at exploration. If we don't participate at exploration, I don't know any foreign investor who will do the exploration and give the Zambian government that exploration data. They will then get the license and then they'll get the money to run a mine. So Vamwape, my proposal is simple. Zambians must participate at exploration, Zambians must participate at mining, and Zambia must participate at the correct financial modeling for Zambian ownership. And then there was Christine. Christine was asking me, MP, what are these contracts that were signed in the past that relate to supply of power? These contracts that were signed at a time when the Patriotic Front were in government had a specific time frame. Now, what has happened is that the period for these contracts have been extended to 10 years. So if PF had signed a 3, 4, 5-year contract, the UPND is saying we'll continue exporting power of a specific quantity, for a period of 10 years. So responsibility must be shared between the old team and the new team. But the fact that the new government has extended the period for these contracts also indicates that we must start raising more, we must start producing more electricity if we are going to make money by exporting more electricity. But the priority should remain Zambians. I don't know if I've left out.
I think you've tackled all the questions. I'll invite you to come and make your last remarks.
We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate. Speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV, tonight. We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate. Speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV, tonight.
Thank you very much, dear viewers. Today we're hosting Honorable Christopher Kangombe Kamfinsa MP, is former councillor, former mayor of Kitwe. He was president of the local government association of, of all, an association of councils, the mayors and council chairpersons of a body. He was president of that. He's currently member of parliament for Kamfinsa and is visiting the United States to determine where we are going. Honorable Christopher Kangombe, let me just bring you in. What are your last remarks? And thank you for coming to these programs. But what are your thoughts about Zambia as we go towards elections? There are threats against peace. There are threats against national security. The preparations we are making, for example, towards elections, there are concerns around voter registration. There are concerns around the Electoral Commission of Zambia itself, if it is capable of delivering a free and fair elections. What are your thoughts as the country prepares for next year's elections, and what are your last remarks?
Well, first of all, Mwamba, I want to thank you once again for allowing me to be on this platform to just interact with the callers and also share my thought for us to replace politics of ideas, politics where I sit down with you, we argue about how certain things are being done, but at the end of the day, we have a drink and say, despite our different political parties, we are Zambians and Zambia must win. So I'm grateful that you gave me this opportunity to share my ideas on how we can develop our country. There are 5 things that I want those that have tuned in to take away as takeaways. Number 1, we need to create a Zambia that creates, that allows mining to create wealth for Zambians. And like I said earlier on, this is one thing I will not apologize for, because I have seen the potential of Zambians. All we need is to get the correct financial modeling. We get the financial modeling correct, Mwamba, we'll have Zambians participating at all the levels of mining. Secondly, in the health sector, we need to focus on sustainable healthcare financing. What is sustainable healthcare financing? As a member of parliament, Mwamba, I don't need people from my constituency that they need medicine. Systems must cater for our people. We should not say, let's elect a person who have enough money to give out as a criteria for election as a member of parliament. The best members of parliament should be those that understand systems. One of the systems that has to be gotten correctly is healthcare financing. Here in America, one of the topics I want to discuss and learn from people that are in America who are Zambians, learn from experts in the public policy space is how do we ensure that we get healthcare financing correctly in Zambia. There must be some lessons here in advanced economies, how they've done it. Issue number 2. Issue number 3, government is talking about 3 million tons of copper over a period of 10 years. They've already done 4 years. They are remaining with 6 years to get to 3 million tons. You can't get to 3 million tons without energy. We need energy. We need electricity. We need a stable supply of fuel. We can't grow our economy if we don't get the energy sector correctly. Christopher Kangombe has got proposals about the energy sector. The proposals I've made are that we need transparency in the sector. We need to ensure that an institution as important as Indeni needs to bring in a new refinery. We should have simply said, let's fix Indeni, let's bring in a partner. How much equity are we giving them? Is it 40%? Is it 50%? So that we run Indeni efficiently. We get an extra pipeline running parallel to the Tazama pipeline. These are things that I've consistently spoken about in Parliament. Lastly, and I'm saying takeaways before I come to your question. The other takeaway is that empowerment funds must begin working for our people. Currently, Mwamba, Kamfinsa is giving out 3 million kwacha in loans. Chimwemwe is giving out 3 million kwacha in loans. Mapatizia is giving out 3 million kwacha in loans under CDF. These loans are not working for our people because you have too many politicians involved. WDCs are politicians, councillors are politicians, MPs are politicians, mayor and then the minister, all these are politicians. Now, DC is a politician. All of them are involved in empowerment funds. We need to exclude them. I want to appeal to the President of the Republic of Zambia. When I take this proposal to Parliament in the remaining 6-7 months, MPs from the ruling party must support my proposal. My proposal is that can we get these empowerment funds to be given to people without the involvement of political players? Then we can have recoveries. Can we have a financial institution, Mwamba, that handles credit? Kitwe City Council, Lusaka City Council, Monze Municipal Council, those are not credit institutions. They can't handle credit. Let money and loans be handled by financial institutions. Lastly, on agriculture, Mwamba, agriculture sector must be transformed beyond maize. I asked a question in Parliament to the Minister of Agriculture for the second time. Why is FRA announcing exports of maize when we have lessons to learn that we have no control over the rainfall pattern? Why not wait for the rains to come? We know how much maize we have in excess. We know that our local demand has been satisfied. Then we begin talking about exporting mealie meal. And I'm saying mealie meal, not maize. I don't see the need why we should export 500,000 tons of maize when we can actually process that into mealie meal. We create value. The local transporter makes a bit of money. The guy that is working in a milling plant, a bit of cash, and then we export the final product. This is what I've been advocating for. So for me, I want to be that beyond maize, we need to start looking at other producing enough wheat. Why aren't we producing other cash crops that can? These are ideas for development that we should be discussing. And I'm sure now I can speak to your question, Mwamba. Your question was very simple. How do we prepare for elections next year? First of all, Zambia has a record. We have a record of peacefully handing over power from one person to the next person. One of the ingredients of a peaceful handover is that you don't wait for election time to guarantee peace in the country. It's how you prepare the election. It's how ECZ is engaging stakeholders. My appeal to ECZ, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the violence, disruptions of the electoral process, all these things can be avoided if the process has got everyone on board. We are 1 year to an election. Can we carry every stakeholder on board? If every stakeholder is on board, Mwamba, we will then not have any complaints. You are aware that there's Bill 7. There are plans by government to bring back Bill 7 to amend the Constitution. One of the things that people have been asking is, which ones are the constituencies that are earmarked for delimitation, okay? Because I know UPND has got the numbers in Parliament. If we were to vote today, I'm very certain that they have the numbers to push any legislation into Parliament and they'll pass it through. But that's not the issue. The issue is that for as long as key stakeholders are left behind, the process will not have legitimacy. Legitimacy can only be acquired by allowing people to participate in the constitution-making process. Let's not rush a process without getting the buy-in from people. If people have the buy-in, if transparently we know which constituencies are earmarked for delimitation, we will then be able to scrutinize how were these arrived at. That is the essence of democracy. So, Mwamba, it is possible that we can achieve an election that everyone then accepts the outcome. And what is that thing that we have to do for people to accept the outcome of the election? The outcome of the election is to allow every stakeholder, political parties, to sit in meetings where we are planning how many voters will be captured, which districts require more voter registration, NRCs to be issued. Those are ingredients for a good election. So my appeal to ECZ, don't leave the stakeholders behind and expect a fair election next year. We can achieve a fair election next year if every stakeholder, especially the opposition, are allowed to be part of the process of engagement. For me, that is one thing that I want to raise today as we wind up. Lastly, the cyber laws, I want to be put on record. It's possible for citizens to feel that their rights are protected if we don't have laws that allow law enforcement officers to infringe on people's rights to communication. The Cyber Crimes Bill has got good provisions, the Cyber Security Bill has got good provisions, but it also has got bad provisions. What we need to be discussing is how do we remove the bad provisions? How do we ensure that the Public Order Act, as we go into election, it is amended? I'll be raising these issues in Parliament as we open to ensure that the Public Gatherings Bill, which government is working on, is quickly brought to Parliament. We look at its contents. If it's different from the Public Order Act, I think then we'll be able to clean it up so that it protects the rights of citizens to campaign and to associate themselves with their political parties. Mwamba, I'm very grateful for having invited me. On Saturday, I'm in Arizona for a town hall meeting with Zambians. On Monday, I'll be in New York for another engagement with various stakeholders on sustainable cities.
Thank you very much, Christopher Kangombe. And to our community of Zambians here in the United States, Honorable Kangombe has a meeting tomorrow in Phoenix, Arizona. He flies to New York for another meeting before he finally goes home. But you can get in touch with me. You don't have to really be in all those places to speak to him. I can pass on his number to you and you can contribute. And Honorable Kangombe, I hope that your colleagues can stream live your engagement in Arizona. We can see how we can facilitate the process. I would like to thank Honorable Kangombe for making an appearance. We have a series of other guests next week, and we might have a diaspora forum on Sunday, but we'll let you know. Today, we're pioneering something new. There were some initial glitches at the beginning, and that's why we started the program late. We went live on TikTok. We went live on X. We went live on other platforms, Facebook page. We've primarily been focusing on Facebook and one page on YouTube. But today we carried various YouTube channels. My channel, Grindstone and others were live on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on X. We want to have a far and wide reach for our audience as we paddle towards next year's elections. We have to give you an array of leaders so that you appreciate the reservoir of leadership that our country has. And they come together maybe to provide a formidable challenge to the current government. It's not an issue of just removing President Hakainde Hichilema. No, it's not. It's an issue of making our country better, providing better policies, assembling a better team than what is currently obtaining. and remove the disunity and the fracture that our country has begun to face that might threaten our national peace and security. So God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave us, and thank you for Honorable Christopher Kangombe. God bless you, and we'll see you on Sunday. I think we have a program on Sunday.
We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate. Speaking truth to power, from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV, tonight.
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuivukisha Kana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Awazunga wajita katongi na kula kuivukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Iyaba Iyaba ume Iyaba ume Iyaba Kateka wabantu Twakulila lelo twakulila Shikakukonke milimo shove Ale filamba Fiena minta pengo sile Deti kume moku londolo la vale Lilo wingi
Iseko wingi mwakwete Iseko wingi mwakwete Mwaya Mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
Katushi muchi wakege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatu jatuleli laki Mupanga chiba
Penda Mupanga mwine Moya mwine Ide lalila Lalila Lalila
Kangu ya mama ume Ala nacho mwabye Mama Hey, Ukula bebyo wati dobwingi Ibisebo wapagiri obwingi Ukuchinjo lusako kumoneko busaka Mama Utituwa na basiyani Chakwa katuse